Hello. My name is S.K. Williams, and I've been neglecting this channel. In part, that was to be expected since I wanted to get my other channel that I created up and running and flowing normally before I come back to this one. However, it has taken longer than I thought it would to actually get the other channel working. The other channel that I run is the Bishop's Bible channel, where I read as an audiobook the Bishop's Bible of 1568, and it's set to whimsical, crude animation. My original thought was that 1 or 2 or perhaps at most 3 weeks would go by. All of the issues that I would have would be resolved, and I would simply proceed normally from then. But that isn't what happened. I didn't realize at the time that when you start a new TubeView channel, you are restricted to 10 video uploads a day. At least until your channel is verified. And since I can't do any other verification method, the only verification method that I can rely upon is the constant upload of videos until they verify my channel is real. They claim that this takes about 2 months. And I'm hoping it happens a little sooner since I want to get the Bishop's Bible up and running on the 1st of March. But it does mean that I've been focusing on the Bishop's Bible because in order to actually get them to verify the channel, I will have to load videos so that they know it's an active channel, not someone creating it as some sort of crank. Which ironically creates a situation where on this channel, it will take longer than 2 months to actually get it verified. But that doesn't really matter since normally I don't actually plan on loading over 10 videos per day on this channel. I need to on the Bishop's Bible because I only have internet access for 2 or 3 days out of the week under my current situation, which I've explained in other videos. But for the most part, I'm doing most of my uploads on Thursdays. And in order to maintain the schedule which I had set up for the Bishop's Bible, which is 3 chapters a day for 6 days a week, and a psalm from the Great Bible on Saturdays for a total of 19 videos. I could do that if I loaded the first 10 on Wednesday night and the next 10 on Thursday night. But that would only put me 1 week out. And if I ever missed a week, then I would simply fail to load for that week. So I'm waiting for the confirmation so I can load entire books of the Bible in advance. Hopefully, after only 3 to 6 weeks, I could have the entire Old Testament loaded and ready to go, and then simply allow the Bishop's Bible to run on autopilot while developing this channel. But I don't want to just neglect this channel forever. I want to get back to it. Though, in my own defense, I do have a certain degree of latitude. This channel exists largely as a continuation of my first TubeView channel, which over the last 3 or 4 years, has been subject to an unnecessarily large amount of censorship, thanks to Al Gore and his Rhythm deciding to single me out because they wanted to purge conservative voices and promote progressivism. This is something that is not simply suspected. After all, Gaggle has now admitted that they were indeed doing this. And it's actually easier to do this to smaller channels than larger ones because they wouldn't be noticed. Which is one of the reasons that I am now more motivated on this channel to grow the channel and make it more coherent. Originally, I didn't really have a consistent upload schedule, and I just loaded when I felt like it, because I did tube-of-view videos more for a hobby than as an attempt at a career or anything. But I am going to try, when I start this channel's focus, to load at least one video a week. This is why the current situation I'm in, which exists on both channels, isn't such a big deal on this channel. You see, the tube-of-view, when you create a new channel, requires you to go through a verification process. And if you are not verified, then you are limited, and you cannot load more than 10 videos per day. This is catastrophic for the Bishop's Bible for the reasons I've already stated. At best, this means I can load 1 week in advance for the Bishop's Bible project. But I want to load more than that because something might come up. As I'm speaking this into my microphone, we just experienced severe ice storms, for example, and I could very easily have been snowed in and not gotten to go to my mother's and not gotten the internet access that I need. I need to be able to load several weeks in advance for the Bishop's Bible. But since I've been focusing on the Bishop's Bible, I have largely been ignoring this channel, like I said. So that means that even though the tube-of-view says that verification can occur in many ways, one of which is the uploading of videos onto a channel until they determine that you're a real person and that there's nothing illicit about your channel, which is what I'm doing with the Bishop's Bible project. That's why it is more haphazard over there now than I intended it to be, and why I need to load videos there now at a constant. But this channel will not have the same ability to be verified because I'm not loading videos onto it. However, it's not as big a deal because even though it will take longer for this channel to be verified when I start loading videos, because I'm still not going to make that many for this channel until the Bishop's Bible project is up and running. And even after I've loaded my Bishop's Bible videos and largely leave it on automatic and come back to this channel, it will probably take 2 months to verify it when I start doing regular uploads. The thing about it is, with the exception of a few occasions, ironically, February has those, I'm unlikely to actually need to upload videos that exceed 10 per day. Indeed, most of the time I'm simply going to load 1 or 2 or maybe 3 videos per week. So it really doesn't matter even if it takes 6 months to verify me on this channel, because it probably will not impede me significantly. Although, ironically, February is an exception to that, because it has a number of holidays that I want to commemorate. But nevertheless, I do feel that anyone who may chance upon this channel deserves at least some explanation for what's going on. I created the channel back in December of 2025, and in January launched it gloriously with the new year, and then have largely produced no videos for it. And do keep in mind, I actually plan on creating another channel and perhaps 2 or 3 other channels in the future. The reason for which being that I'm going to try and make this channel about something, so I can actually grow it, to get my voice out there and heard, because I think it needs to be now, and to make certain that it's harder to do to me again what has been done to me in the past. As such, while I do intend this channel to be more general, I am going to focus more on direct commentary and perhaps slight amounts of poetry or fiction. But I want to create a dedicated fiction channel as well, for some fictional works that I'm creating. Though I am working on a couple of videos that are fictional that I will probably load here since I don't have that channel yet. For example, I'm working on a time agency series. I created it, and I want to share it. It's a unique concept for a series, and I'm hoping that introducing it and its ideas will perhaps pique a little interest. The Time Agency is a series that explores metaphysics and philosophy and quantum physics and the concepts from them. And it doesn't fall into the usual trope of science versus religion. Rather, I want to show how medieval metaphysical concepts actually align quite nicely with modern quantum physics, rather than being at odds with them, and to show how it's often just a different language for the same phenomena. I also want to explore things like the nature of God, the nature of creation, the nature of angels, and even fairies, as they were understood in traditional folklore rather than in modern Victorian whimsy. So the Time Agency series isn't just going to be a group of people who go backward or forward in time, but is rather going to be an organization that exists to help maintain the normal flow of historical time-space, which doesn't just include our timeline that we're on, but also includes higher metaphysical levels that would also be understood as distinct quantum states. So the agents won't just be going backwards and forwards to different time periods, but will also be exploring higher levels of reality that also go into time. And we'll also be exploring concepts from modern quantum physics such as negative time, quantum erasure, the concept of the quantum split experiment, all of these things, quantum entanglement. All of these things will be a part of the Time Agency series, as will fairies and angels and other beings that we would normally in modern world say are supernatural. But I will also not be using that term to describe them, because they're not supernatural. And I don't just mean that in my sci-fi world I'll explain that they're actually aliens from another planet who primitive people thought were supernatural. I'm not doing ancient aliens. Rather, when I say they're not supernatural, I mean that they are preternatural. Preternatural is a term we don't hear very much of today. Rather like ecclesiocracy, we've largely abandoned it and just use another word that doesn't really mean the same thing for them, which obscures and confuses the meaning of the other word and what we're actually talking about. We think of spirits, ghosts, fairies, and angels as all supernatural beings, just like God is supernatural. Just as we think of a theocracy as a government run by religion or governed by priests, when in reality a government governed by priests is an ecclesiocracy, not a theocracy. A theocracy is a government whose head of state is understood to be a god. And in traditional scholasticism, or traditional Christian thought, which is where the concept of the supernatural comes from, no one in antiquity spoke of the supernatural, which may sound odd to modern people who know that gods by definition are supernatural, and the Greeks and Romans worshipped gods, so they worshipped supernatural beings. But the ancient Greeks and Romans never understood their gods as supernatural. Rather, the concept of the supernatural was developed by Christians in either late antiquity or the early Middle Ages. But the term supernatural applied only to God. Nothing else was understood as supernatural. Rather, beings that existed in such a way as to be outside of our normal experiences with nature were understood as preternatural. They were beings that were still bound by natural laws, but who existed in a higher or separate plane of those laws. So, when I introduce fairies in this story, they're not only going to be small, maybe 2 or 3 inch winged beings with the wings of butterflies. They're going to be things that are roughly human-sized, or perhaps a little shorter. Look more ethereal and inhuman, but still human enough. More of an uncanny valley human than human with pointy ears. And they're still going to be bound by certain natural laws. They are not supernatural, and they are not aliens from another planet confused as supernatural beings. They are preternatural. And the same thing is true of angels. Angels will be in this series, but angels will be understood as preternatural, not as supernatural. And indeed, one of the main characters in the story is a fairy named Cyrene, and another is an angel fused with a human named Anne-Jill Sherford. I don't have a proper name for the lead. I am currently calling him Sky last name. This is a terrible name for the character, but it is just a placeholder. And he is human, from Tennessee, from the year 2001. And he begins working for the Time Agency in an unusual way. Then again, so does Anne-Jill Sherford. But these characters I will introduce you to more formally in a future video. For now, I just wanted to talk about why I haven't been uploading videos on this channel and what the delay has been. I don't have much else to say, so I shall take my leave. Thank you, God bless, and goodbye.